Good afternoon, everybody. The Public Art and Civic Design Division is pleased to welcome you all to the second of two public meetings to get to know the artists participating in the Art in Parks program. Art in Parks is made possible by the Radical Impact Grant Program, launched in celebration of the Allegheny Regional Asset District's 25th anniversary, with the intention of funding bold, forward-looking, creative projects that will have a radical impact on the region. Our 5 rad parks include Highland, Frick, Schenley, Emerald View, and Riverview parks. Each park was allocated $100,000 toward commissioning new artworks, which will become part of the City of Pittsburgh's permanent collection. Our artists are in the early stages of engagement and design development and are ready to introduce their practices, engage in conversations with park users, and share what they're interested in exploring. Today, we'll be hearing from artists working in Schenley and Frick parks. Each artist will make a brief presentation, and then we're happy to take questions or comments via the chat, Q&A, or by using the raise the hand function. We'll get started today with Schenley Park and our first artist, Ginger Brooks Takahashi. Tony, do you want to promote Ginger?
She should be, yes, coming in now. And I'm going to stop share. Ginger, you should be able to share your screen. Great.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, actually, maybe we won't do it that view. How's that? Okay. Thanks, everybody, for being here today. My name is Ginger Brooks Takahashi, and I am one of the artists who will be making a piece for Schenley Park. So in my practice, I work with spaces, language, people, and plants, and I really consider my practice to be site responsive. So what that means is that through my process, I'm asking questions about the surroundings, and also thinking about shared resources and how we might creatively coexist. This is me on site in Hunter Park in Wilkinsburg on a piece that I've been working on for the past 2 years. And I use this image of me with a microphone inside of the manhole recording the sound to just talk about how my process really begins with research and multiple forms of listening.
Ginger,
so
I don't know
yes.
if I can't see your shared screen. I don't know if other people.
Thanks for letting me know.
I could for a minute whenever you first started.
How's that?
There we go.
Thank you. Great. So yeah, as I was saying, my creative process really starts with research, and that very much includes listening and being in conversation not only with people who use and work in a space, but also observing the land. Observing the landscape, the plants, and also the layered histories of a site. This is 9 Mile Run Viewfinder. And over the past 2 years, for me, water has been a focus as I developed this public art piece with 2 community organizations, Upstream PGH and the Center for Civic Arts, both based in Wilkinsburg, through the Office of Public Arts, Environment, Public Health Initiative. And during this time, I've been learning about our underground culverted streams in Pittsburgh and thinking about how human relationships to water are charged with our connections between land access, water, history, industry, people, and plants. So 9 Mile Run Viewfinder makes use of existing manhole access to this underground stream. And this map shows the 3 sites that the piece is installed in, and the blue represents the waterway and of 9 Mile Run, and the dotted blue line is everywhere that's been culverted, everywhere where the river is underground. So replacing these manhole covers with custom viewfinders at these 3 sites allows the public to see, hear, smell this underground stream. And this piece was installed this summer at Hunter Park, Whitney Park, and West Street. And because my work is not limited to a medium or a material, I consider the environment, the work will live in, and the resources that are available that will best communicate the concepts and the values of the artwork. And this is the piece installed at one of the sites on West Street outside of Wilkinsburg's Magisterial Court. This is the only one that's in a sidewalk. The other 2 are in parks. So they kind of feel more like destinations, whereas this site has a lot of foot traffic. So my proposal for Schenley Park highlights human connections to water, specifically the historical presence and memory of public springs located within the park. And this image is in the park. This was a fountain dedicated to an indigenous leader, Katakasa, and it had water flowing all the time. You can see the water spilling out onto the sidewalk, into the street. And this was a place where people would come and collect water. And it was also a memorial. So I'm interested in the form of this like spring-fed fountain that fills a stone basin with some seating nearby. I'm really inspired by Japanese garden design. My ancestors on my mom's side are Japanese, and this is something I'm really interested in. And I'm also interested in sites for ritual cleansing as a moment to pause. And the image on the left is from a Japanese garden, and the image on the right is from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And this is a fountain that's on the side of the road with spring water that people come and fill up jugs of water. So I'm going to share 2 proposed sites in Schenley Park. The first one is a spring that is behind Westinghouse Memorial. There's the red arrow in the image that shows where it is. It's really close to the edge of where the golf course kind of is. And if one were to walk back past the Westinghouse Memorial into the woods following this creek, you would end up at this spring. This is a photo of that site. And then the second site is the headwaters of one of the headwaters of Panther Hollow. There are steps leading down to it from Bartlett Street. Yeah, I'll show a photo of that one here. And I've incorporated a sketch of what this basin might look like placed at the site. And as they are now, these springs are, they would be considered seeps. So the water is just flowing out from the ground. It's untapped and just forms this like creek. And when it rains, it gets wider, and you can see it flowing. So some of the concerns that I'm thinking of for this piece is accessibility for visitors, especially for the site, the second site that has steps leading down to it, to think about how can people access the site, and everybody who wants to. And then secondly, I'm really interested in creating this water flow design without using electricity. And then third, I would really like to use stone that's from this region so that it's in dialogue with the site that it's sitting in. And that is all for me. I don't know if are we doing questions for each one?
We are, Ginger. Thank you for that
Okay.
presentation. And we'll go ahead and take a look if any of the participants want to put anything into the chat, the Q&A, or raise their hands. I'm also going to include a link in the chat to Ginger's Engage page, which is where you could, if you don't feel like speaking up now, you could leave feedback or questions for Ginger as the design development continues. Ginger, I don't know if you're able to see the chat, but you've got a "so cool" comment here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tony, you're pretty good at scouting for these. Do you see anybody else who has a question?
Nope, not right now.
Okay. Thank you, Ginger. We'll go ahead and leave the Engage link in the chat. And I think to make up for time, we'll shift over to Sarah Coleman next, who is also working in Schenley Park. Is she? She's with us. Okay.
All right. Sarah should be able to unmute and share your screen if you're able.
Hi, can you see me?
Can't see you.
We
but
can hear you though.
Oh, all
There you
right,
are.
there we go. Okay, let me figure this out real quick here. Okay, share screen. All right. There we go. Okay, can you see this all right? Okay. So hi, everyone. My name is Sarah B. Coleman. Thank you for having me here. I am a fine art artist, a graphic designer, and a muralist. Here are some of my work. These two are my latest murals that I did in Pittsburgh. And these are some of my personal pieces. A lot of it is graphic design and spontaneous realism, which I specialize in. The concept that I want to do for Schenley Park is to mount layers of substrates together, and it'll create this big mural. There are choices of substrates that I have to make decision of using, which will be determined throughout the experimenting process. Some of the choices right now that I have are metal, aluminum light sheet, and acrylic. The overall materials, again, will be substrate panels, polyurethane, epoxy adhesive, and enamel paint. The resources, I'll be working hand in hand with Coppola Signs and Graphics. They're located in Pittsburgh. They've done things like interior and exterior signage, architectural signage, storefront, illuminated signage, and countless outdoor signs. So let's get to the concept. I drew down some breakdown here just to show you each steps. So the first step is to cut out a substrate layer of the whole design, and that will be drilled to the wall. This provide the design that flat and smooth platform. The second step is to cut out the art layer into different pieces in different shape. And that will be mounted on top of the first layer using epoxy adhesive. Now I did pick out locations that do not have a wall, and the same method can be used by using metal stands. The process, it will be the same as installing outdoor signs. Let's get to the first location. So the first location I picked out is the bathroom wall at the soccer field. Now I love this location, but the concern is that it's being a bathroom wall. People do get in and out all the time. And there's also 2 bike stands there right in the front. But after I talked to the Coppola design, we think that it should not take longer than 4 hours to install the art, since the artwork will be done prior to the installment day. So we don't see a major problem with that one. The second location is this slanted wall here that I circled out with the red marker. Anthony and the team did point out a really good point on this wall. It being right next to another public art might be a little bit confusing, but it might work if there's a connection between the two. So that's something I will have to think about, and also talk to the artist himself. And I think it's Edward Bordas. The third location here is Anderson Playground. I do not see a concern with this one. The fourth location is at the Panther Hollow Road tunnel. I'm not so sure if you call it a tunnel, but it's this wall here right under the bridge. Now, the problem I have with this location is that there's no sidewalk really. So we're gonna have to be careful with the incoming traffic. And I am also, if we have too much problem with that, right, with that wall right there, I'm really interested in this side wall that's connected to that, but the outside of it, you can see, maybe I can do something with both sides. The last location is actually right next to that exit there, right by the tree, the biggest tree you see there. And again, these are the locations that don't need to use the wall. So it will be on that metal stands. And with the design, I do want to do some illustration on birds that you can find in Schenley Park. Let's see, yeah. So you can find like American goldfinch, red-billed woodpecker, Carolina wren there. Yeah. This is not like the exact design I wanted to go with if everything go nicely with the concepts and everything, but it's just something I had in my head. So I just have this very tight sketch so you guys can see where I'm going with. So hopefully that helps. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Sarah. That was great. I went ahead and put the link to your Engage page into the chat. And let's see if we have any questions or comments from participants. Again, putting questions or comments into the Q&A, the chat, or using the raise hand function if there's anything you want to talk to Sarah about. Sarah, I don't know if you can see this, but we got a thank you comment. It doesn't look like any questions are popping into the chat. Tony, do you see anything out there? All right. Well, both of our Schenley Park artists have been extremely efficient in their presentations, and without a lot of questions or feedback from the participants, we will go into a break for a moment, and when we come back, we'll switch over to Frick Park and we'll hear from Matthew Geller. Ginger and Sarah, thank you both for your presentations. And Tony, do you want to go ahead and put up our agenda? I think we'll be back at 3:50 with Matthew Geller working on a project in Frick Park. All right, thanks for bearing with us, everybody, and welcome back. We have our last Art and Parks presentation today from Matthew Geller, who is doing a project in Frick Park. Matthew, are you ready to go with your presentation?
I am. So I should
Hi.
share my screen. Okay. And let me see if I can make that a little bigger. Everybody see my screen? We good? Okay. I see a thumbs up. I'm going to show some previous projects, talk a little about my approach to public art, talk about the sites currently under consideration, and sort of an idea of what I'm thinking about for the artwork for Frick Park. My history with public art has included many object-based and site-specific artworks integrated with a site. The artworks are participatory, interactive, and kinetic, promoting inclusivity and creative uses of the site. While my work is visually eclectic, my work always creates moments of respite, contemplation, and delight, befitting the site's functional and visual context. This would be the case for the Frick Park public artwork, which provide a sense of place and foster the ideals of an inclusive and diverse community. I purposely use materials from the everyday outdoor environment, everything from benches to swings to canopies to water, and bring them into the realm of art. I create a level of connection to the familiar while highlighting elements of awe and beguilement. Often using existing artifacts from the site and retrofitting them to make a micro-public square or landmark that encourages creative patterns of use. The works are spirited, accessible, participatory, and very often unexpected. By considering behavioral design and combining strong visuals with dynamic elements activated by people and changes in ambient light and weather, the resulting work is in constant flux. The artwork becomes part of the community's fabric and is integral in shaping how we live in public space. The idea is to surprise while fostering a sense of community around an unlikely object or site. So the general site under consideration is Riverview Hill, which is surrounded by a Riverview Trail. And A, B, and C are the locations that we're currently considering. You can see B is right in the center of this open area, C on the top of one hill, and A on the top of the other hill. I know that work will be have seating, will be kinetic, will allow you to change your view depending on how you shift the seats from engaging in a conversation with other people who are physically sitting on the artwork, or turning it to, look out at the vista. This is obviously by far the largest vista in Frick Park. I think it'll be vertical, in some way referencing trees and the vertical trees in the landscape. And it's going to reference merry-go-rounds, carousels, which partly by coincidence were at the height of their popularity in the United States. I think there are about 4,000 when Frick Park first became Frick Park. So that's where I am at the moment.
Thanks, Matthew. That's exciting to see. I've gone ahead and put your Engage page link into the chat, and we'll encourage anybody with questions or comments to either put something in the chat, the Q&A, or use the raise hand function. Give it a minute and see if anybody has any questions.
And I should add that the Engage page asked a lot of questions about how people use Frick Park, what areas they enjoy the most, what makes them go to Frick Park. A lot of questions about the park itself and how people use it and who uses it.
Right, well, it's a very quiet group today. We'll wrap up here, and in the event that somebody has a question, we'll definitely break over to that. Thank you, Matthew, for the presentation and the engagement today. Thank you to all three of the artists who presented today and to everybody who participated and listened and watched. A recording of this meeting will be posted online alongside our first Art in Parks public meeting, which covered the other artists working in the other parks. That was held just last week on the 4th. And anyone who wants to view either presentation and or was unable to make it to the meetings will be able to access the content there. We can go ahead and I'll include a link in the chat to the overall Art in Parks Engage page, where you'll be able to access both recordings via a link. And with that, thank you everybody for your participation. Let me just throw that link in the chat real quick. And wrap it up. All right, there's the overall link. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.